Breaking news: U.S. and Chinese warships intense standoff near Spratly Islands. Pentagon confirms unsafe and unprofessional maneuvers by Chinese Navy. The headlines flashed across screens worldwide on this tense December morning. The air over the South China Sea was thick with tension as steel behemoths faced each other down. A U.S. Navy carrier strike group, symbolizing American power, was locked in a dangerous face-off. Chinese destroyers and frigates formed a defiant line, challenging the American presence. The world held its breath. This was no drill. The date in December 9th, 2025. The place near Mischief Reef, a militarized Chinese island in the Spratlys. On one side, the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group. On the other, a determined flotilla from the People's Liberation Army Navy. The stakes: the international order at sea. Every move was watched by satellites and drones, every signal scrutinized. Captains on both sides communicated through ship maneuvers and terse radio warnings. A single misstep could ignite a global conflict. The crisis began when a Chinese Coast Guard vessel blocked a Philippine supply ship, triggering a U.S. Philippines defense treaty. Washington responded by dispatching its most advanced carrier group, signaling its commitment to allies and freedom of navigation. China answered with its own warships, creating a perilous impasse. The arrival of the USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, was a statement of American resolve. Escorting her were the USS Normandy and Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, forming Carrier Strike Group 12. The Chinese responded with their own show of force, led by the type U-55 destroyer, Nanchang, and a modern flotilla. These ships shadowed the Americans relentlessly, a reminder that the U.S. Navy was not in uncontested waters. The Spratly Islands are vital. Trillions in trade pass through these waters. For China, control here is a core security and economic goal, enforced by artificial islands and missile batteries. The U.S. and its allies see this as a test of international law, specifically freedom of navigation. If China closes off these waters, it sets a dangerous precedent. The USS Gerald R. Ford was there to draw a line in the water, upholding the rules that keep the seas open. The world was watching. Freedom of navigation is the backbone of global trade. 1/3 of maritime commerce, over $3 trillion, passes through the South China Sea. The U.S. Navy's Freedom of Navigation operation was a direct challenge to China's claims, reinforcing international law by simply being present. China sees these operations as infringements on its sovereignty, rooted in historical claims. This fundamental clash, law versus history, makes the standoff volatile. The Philippines, a U.S. ally, is caught in the middle, its fishermen harassed and its waters contested. The American carrier group reassures Manila, but also puts it at the center of a superpower confrontation. Smaller nations feel both protected and endangered. Deep inside the USS Gerald R. Ford, the Combat Information Center is the ship's nerve center. Sailors monitor tactical displays, tracking every threat in the air, on the surface, and underwater. A young operations specialist watches Chinese warships, designated as hostile due to aggressive behavior. Her job monitor for signs of escalation, like fire control radar activation. Information flows rapidly to the tactical action officer, who can deploy defenses if needed. On the bridge, the captain receives constant updates. His mission clear: show resolve, but avoid war. Pilots are on alert. Engineers keep the ship ready, and every sailor feels the weight of the moment. A single blip could mean conflict. The crew relies on training and teamwork, functioning as a flawless machine. Every decision is critical. The tension is real, but discipline prevails. They are ready for whatever comes next. On the flight deck, F-35Cs and F-A-18s roar into the sky, patrolling and gathering intelligence. An E-2D Hawkeye circles above, its radar linking data from jets, ships, and satellites into a unified battlespace picture. This information flows to the CIC, keeping the captain fully informed. On escort destroyers, sailors man defensive weapons, eyes scanning for threats. Their presence signals readiness to defend, not just pass through. The U.S. Navy's technological edge is clear. The Aegis combat system forms a protective shield, tracking hundreds of targets. Secure data links allow the strike group to act as one. Training and technology combine to give the U.S. Navy confidence in high-stakes situations. Every action is calculated, every move deliberate. The message: we are prepared. Tension peaked when the Chinese destroyer Lanzhou cut across the bow of the USS McFall, a dangerous game of chicken. Alarms blared. The officer of the deck ordered evasive action. In the CIC, the threat was tracked in real time. The McFall turned sharply, avoiding collision by a mere 100 yards. No shots fired, but the message was clear. China was willing to risk a clash. The American crew's discipline prevented escalation. The incident was logged as a violation of the Code for Unplanned Encounters at Sea. It was a stark reminder of how quickly things could spiral. Both sides stared down the abyss. The rules of engagement held. War was averted, this time. The world exhaled. The standoff sent shockwaves across the Indo-Pacific. In Manila, officials watched anxiously, grateful for U.S. support, but fearful of escalation. Tokyo and Taipei saw the standoff as a test of American resolve and a preview of possible futures. Global markets reacted. Oil prices rose, stocks dipped. The world saw how a remote naval standoff could impact everyday life. Diplomats scrambled. The U.S. and China exchanged firm words. Allies called for restraint. The UN urged calm. The crisis underscored the fragility of peace in the region. Every nation watched, hoping for a diplomatic off-ramp. The stakes were global. As dusk fell, both fleets began a careful de-escalation. The Chinese flotilla eased back, but stayed nearby. The U.S. strike group continued its mission, launching aircraft to demonstrate resolve. Radio communications shifted from tense warnings to professional coordination. I am maintaining course and speed. We acknowledge, we will maintain a safe distance. The immediate crisis faded, replaced by cautious respect. By nightfall, the fleets had separated. The captain of the Ford allowed himself a brief sigh of relief. No shots fired, no lives lost. Both sides had shown strength without violence. Deterrence had worked, for now. The larger challenge remained. In the days after, the USS Gerald R. Ford continued patrols and joint exercises with allies. The message: the U.S. is an active, committed partner in Asia. The American presence reassured allies and reinforced regional security. Beijing claimed victory in state media, spinning the story for domestic audiences. Internationally, China's willingness to risk conflict alarmed neighbors and hardened opinions. The incident was a wake-up call for policymakers worldwide. The danger of miscalculation was now undeniable. Diplomacy intensified to prevent future crises. The fragile peace held, but everyone knew it could shatter. The sailors sailed on, their mission unchanged: uphold law, reassure allies, deter conflict. The South China Sea remains a flashpoint, calm on the surface but with deep undercurrents of tension.